Cito, we just had a chat with him. He seems like he's in pretty good spirits, all things considered. Can you just share just a little bit about that exchange and just your thoughts on his situation, really, now that it's all come to a conclusion?
Yeah. We were just talking about life, really. We were talking about how he's going. He's in a good space. Hopefully that came across. That's disappointing that we're not going to see him this year, but it's something that we were never going to take a risk around, and he was never going to take that risk. So we were a little bit in his hands when it came to that decision. So disappointing that he's not part of our group. In fact, we actually had that chat this afternoon. I said, well, I went back over some of our best vision, looking at when we move the ball and the way we control the footy, and he's in every edit. So we miss him on field, and that sort of led to the discussion around how do we continue to integrate him into the group for the remainder of this year. And so we'll just look at a game day role, for example, like Sloanie's doing at this point. Keeping him engaged, and as he starts to get himself back into the physicality side of things and a small amount of training, I'm not sure what detail he went into with you guys, but it is good to see him smiling and see him up and about. I think he made a joke about, I think it's the first time he's been up before lunch. So he's in a good headspace.
Looking to tomorrow, last time you went into favourites was the Giants game as favourites to a game, and it didn't end well, and you addressed the mental space and how you dealt with the weight of expectation. How do you feel the group is placed ahead of a pretty lopsided one tomorrow? Yeah,
well, you learn from your experiences, don't you? So we feel like we learned a lot from the last time we were in this situation. We haven't put a lot of time into discussing that. Over the last few weeks, we've put our heads down and gone to work and played a certain brand of footy that we're proud of playing. That's our focus at the moment. So it's anywhere, anyone, anytime. Well, that's this week. It's our home deck. We're really pleased to be back in front of our members and supporters. We love playing at this ground because we get that support behind us. Against anyone, we've spoken through that. We know they're an experienced side. Things turn really quickly in this game. You're never that far away. We know we're not that far away, so it's going to be a great contest.
What have you made of West Coast season so far, and I guess their fall from a finals contender to at the bottom at the moment?
Well, I think we've seen the challenges you have when you don't have access to your entire playing group. It can be, we see sides every week where one or two go out, and it's a substantial change to the end result on the weekend. So it shows how important it is to have a group that is connected. You've got that cohesion building. We're having the same issues at the moment. We're really trying to build our game, get it to a level that we can perform and get the results. Our momentum is really positive at this point in time, and it's hard to say that when you've lost 5 in a row, but we know within the 4 walls that we're heading in the right direction. We know exactly why we're not winning, which is always a good sign. There's no ums and ahs about what we're not getting done, and we need more polish. It'll be an interesting one tomorrow because I'm not sure it's going to be the most polished game by the look of the weather, but we'll be prepared for whatever comes.
So you know why you're not winning? Why aren't you winning?
We're not finishing. We're not finishing our work off. We work really hard. There's no question on our effort. But we lack just some smarts at times. We lack the ability to put the ball between the goals at crucial times. So that scoreboard pressure. And slowly that wears on you. And I'm talking across a game. You can fight it out for a half, and then the opposition, unfortunately, will hit the scoreboard, and it's quite punishing when that happens, and hard to sort of see the game out towards the end. Now, we change a lot of things towards the end of games where we might be behind by a couple of goals, and we'll have a real go at it. So we roll the dice a little bit and take more risk than we'd like. We'd love to be ahead in that position, in which case we'd make different moves. But we need to expose opposition when we've done all the work to get them in that position. At the moment, we're not doing that.
How much of the goal kicking is where you're having the shots from, and how much of it is a mental thing? So I imagine skills isn't really a concern as much because they can all kick footy very well. They're AFL footballers. How much? Where do you put the balance?
Yeah, and it's not only a goal kicking that I'm talking about when I talk polished. Ground ball intercepts, we've got to improve on. It's a key stat in our game. Without going into all the detail, we don't hurt our opposition when they make mistakes. We've looked through that now for a period of time, and we'll continue to work on it. And we are improving in that space. But the goal kicking is an issue we'll get on top of. We're doing everything we possibly can. We're missing shots that we would expect to finish though. It's not like we're out on the boundary line. We're getting our opportunities, we're just not converting.
What's your response to Malcolm Blyde, who said this week that he didn't think that you've improved from last year?
We had Malcolm in actually on Tuesday. Malcolm came and had a chat to us. Unbelievable, it was outstanding what he went through with our group and talked about the history of the footy club and the history of the AFL, how it became the AFL. So it was fantastic to have him in. He's got a real aura and presence about him, obviously, for what he achieved. And he was so complimentary of the group on where we're at, but part of his job is also to talk on radio and say what he sees. Now, he's entitled to his opinion. I probably feel there's a few more that have improved, but when you're not winning games of footy and that outcome's not where you need it to be, you're going to be asked questions. There are a lot of players that we feel have improved and are developing. We talk about the SNFL, our squad mentality. There's no doubt a lot of our group have improved their game and they're taking it to another level. But Malcolm's job is to talk on radio.
So you're happy with how everything's placed at this point of the season compared to last year?
Happy's not the right word. We're frustrated because we're not getting results, but we also understand this is a long game. It takes time, and we're in a position at the moment where I mentioned momentum for us is heading in the right direction. Our development of this group is on track. We're going to get a few things right on a game day at AFL level, and it'll turn really quickly. And hopefully, then we're able to talk about the improvement that we've seen in a number of our players.
Eagles have won their last 5 against you guys. Do you read much into that, and do you feel like you've got them at a good chance to kind of end that streak?
We'd love to end that streak, yeah. And the Eagles play some great footy at Adelaide Oval. I've been on the end of a few at a different club as a coach, where a couple of painful ones actually. They play good football here. They're a very, very good footy side. So we're going to have our work cut out, but we're confident that where we're at the moment, we'll bring it on the weekend.
Who's likely to get the gig on Jack Darling? He's obviously coming off 4 goals after a pretty tough start to the season. Yeah, and he was he had a huge impact last week. Murray's more than likely going to be a good matchup for Darling. He's working on his game and has had a couple of big matchups, in the beginning of his footy career. We hope it's the beginning of a really long one. We love the way Muzz goes about it. He's got great endurance, he's got physicality, and he's going to need that because Darling's a fantastic player. And just one on the ruck battle. Jamison's obviously only played 5 games and Williams probably 10 or so. Is that an area where you think you might be able to get on top?
Well, we're really pleased with what Rob brought to the game last week. Rob going back and resetting himself slightly. He was outstanding last week and came in with really soft hands, good connection with our mids. So, we're pleased with the way he's performing. Riley will pinch hit ruck as well for us at times, and so it'll be a good battle in there where we'll have. We think Rob's now become a really experienced ruckman. Riley being a young ruckman going up against their young ruckman will be a good day.
Does Paddy get a good run in the team? Is the plan to give him 2 or 3 games at AFL level? Or?
You want me to promise 2 or 3 games for? We'd love for that to be the case. Yeah, the last thing we want to do is bring someone in for one. Brown's out at the moment with health and safety. Butts is out with concussion. So there's a few forced. But I would love, as we all would. I don't know if you saw the reaction when you debut players. As a coaching group, you look for the reaction of your players, and the room erupted. We had to cut some of it out, but they were. There's such a respect for him and what he brings to the game, and probably some of the areas we're working on at the moment that we need to improve in. We feel Paddy will bring. The step up's huge though. So the step up from SANFL to AFL, the speed of the game, that'll be the challenge. But we'll give him every chance we possibly can.
The origins of the Pew 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 nickname?
I'm glad you asked. It's too long for me to go into. It was just he's got really fast legs when he moves, when he's really playing his best footy, and it's sort of, a couple of the boys took it off in a meeting one day, and again the room erupted, but it's just pew, 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 pew when he runs. So hopefully we get a chance to do that in game. We'd love to see him take his opportunity and play the style of footy that he does, which is, he's very good with the ball in hand at this lower level.
big step, and the challenge is to hopefully see that tomorrow.
Tommy Dubé had a bit of a concern with his shoulder. Is he okay?
Yeah, Tommy's fine. So Tommy's he's got up no worries. We took this week to really rest him and make sure that he was good to go. So he had a lighter week, and we do that, regularly with players. But yeah, we'll go in as named.
Just back on Mountain Life, why did that come about, and what was his message, I guess, to the group? You invite him in on it?
Yeah, we invited Malcolm. Well, we've been doing a lot of trying to go back to our roots, understand our history, bring back the past players, staff, get people back involved, because it's been a challenge over the last 2 and a bit years with COVID to be able to have our people come back and understand our past. And it's a really important past, the way this club came about. And so we asked Malcolm to come in and talk to our group around that. Obviously, he's been a hugely successful player, coach, and he's been an important part of this footy club. So he gave an incredible presentation around, I guess, how the VFL became the AFL, and how the Adelaide Crows came into the competition. So for our players, even for some of us, it was such a good thing to sit back and I don't know if you've ever seen Malcolm present, but he has a real presence. So our guys were just locked in.
So a bit more about the past and helping you now, is that, if you know?
Oh, a little bit of both. I mean, don't look gift horse in the mouth. We've got one of the best coaches, of the footy club of the past. I'm not going to miss that opportunity to ask a few questions around what he sees. And the most pleasing part was some of the messages he brought around just football and where we're at and so on are very much aligned with where we believe we're at and what we're working on.
Have you spoken to Taylor about, I guess, next season? I know there's a little bit of speculation around, he says he wants to play on, just people kind of saying, some clubs might be interested. Have you spoken to him?
Similar to last year, we don't really talk about it. We're trying to get better on the field. He allows his management to look at that. I allow the club, but I can tell you they're in discussions, as we always are, and he's a really important part of what we're doing. He's the leader on and off the field of our forward line. We miss him when he's not there. We're glad he's back this week, and that will work its way through.
You said in your conversation with Paul Seedsman that you spoke about life. Can you say what you had to say about life?
Sorry, I missed that.
In your conversation with Paul Seedsman this morning, you said, we spoke about life. What did you say about life?
We spoke about the balance of footy and life, and sometimes how we get ourselves stuck in footy. You live and ride every single bump, every result there is. Sometimes something larger comes along that makes you think a little bit more about or your perspective on life. As I said before, he's in a really good space. It was actually nice to just see him back out there again, and that's why we're really keen for him to remain involved for the rest of this year, just to stay connected and bring his experience. Because I said we definitely miss it out there on the field, what he was able to do with the ball in hand, but he's an incredibly smart footballer. We call it FBI, football intelligence, and he's one of the best I've worked with.
Jones is sub.
I won't reveal that one just yet.
Parnell's not the sub though, is he?
No, Parnell. That's a hard one. I don't think we'd ever debut a player in the sub. Never say never though, because you guys will use that at some point if we happen to in the future. It's just a hard one. It's a really hard one.
Can I ask the Chase Jones question? What do you want from him? Why was he sort of pushed out of the team retrospectively?
Yeah, and similar to what the Rob, and I know they're at different stages in their careers, but it's a similar thing for us. Chase was showing some great form, less than 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he just had a small drop off in his form, and we want to reset. We want an opportunity to go back and work on his game at the lower level, or if it is in the Medi sub, it might be an opportunity for him to just come on fresh, and we could get him into another position and inject a little bit of enthusiasm that way. He's very much part of our future, so it's a short-term thing that we're looking at this point in time. It's also what we're looking at. We're debuting a young player who's a different player. So we're not comparing Chase and Paddy Parnell. They are different players. Paddy brings a different weapon to what Chase does. So we feel for us to win, the game of footy this weekend, that Paddy may help us in that space.
Miller more forward again this week. How do you I guess, manage his positions going
Yeah, another one. We won't reveal just yet. But we were really pleased with the impact he had. Be it was probably not for as long as we'd have liked, but we felt when we got him in certain positions on the ground, he had a real impact. He changed the way the opposition played at that point. Unfortunately, they changed it too quickly on us and got themselves back in the game. But we know when we get the ball in his hands, he looked a little bit rusty last week, and he and I had a chat through that. That's where the speed of the game challenges you when you step up. So the more games we can now play, the more he'll get up to speed. No, Filthy's probably in the best physical conditioning he's felt, after a spell. So his body's feeling really good. Again, I thought, he showed some stuff on the weekend where we got a fair bit to work on with Riley when it comes to some of the structure and the expectation in certain moments. And that's just youth. That's just him learning the game. But when he gets himself in the right positions, he's hard to stop.
Let's quickly touch on mid-season draft return. What do you like about him? He's injured at the moment, but do you expect that he will be a meaningful player for you at that AFL level?
Yeah, we love Brett. We love the way he goes about it. We've watched him closely. High character, comes into our group. Very balanced. He's slightly more mature than probably a lot of guys that are picked up in this mid-season period. And so we're looking at what we've seen from him in games. We feel like he'll be a really good addition to our group, and at a point we'll get his opportunity at the level. But very balanced around stoppage and a real leader in around that area. Plus can play forward of the ball. So, we saw it as an opportunity where it didn't happen for him early. He was a basketballer, made the decision to go to footy. Probably didn't mature till slightly later when it comes from a football point of view, but that basketball's given him great awareness. He sees the game really well. So we'll hopefully have a look at him over the remainder of this season and give him an opportunity at the higher level if he's able to perform for us.
And his foot injury, so he'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the plan was post-bye for the SANFL and the AFL. They aligned. So the plan is still a few weeks away. But that was something we knew, and we won't rush that. We'll make sure that he comes back at 100%, that he's not under any injury concern at all. We want him to have his best crack at it.